Todd here with Agape Pastoral Services. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Marriage Minute. Today I'm going to spend some time talking about a passage of scripture out of Ephesians chapter 5, verses 21 through 33. And actually, I'm going to teach on verse 21 in particular, but just to refresh your memories, if you're not familiar, this passage is essentially telling us as husbands and wives what our roles and responsibilities are to be. And so if you want to look up what you're supposed to do as a husband or a wife, just read this passage. And as a matter of fact, I've taught on it in great depth and detail before. So if you go out to my YouTube channel, just search Agape Pastoral Services in YouTube and you'll find it. Go ahead and subscribe once you're there so you get notifications when I post other videos like this one with marriage enrichment teaching ideas and thoughts. But it essentially teaches this fact here that wives, we need to submit to our husbands, and we need to be willing to demonstrate respect to our husbands. Those are the big two, I would call them, for wives. And for husbands, you're called to sacrificially or to agape your wives, or to be willing to literally lay your life down for your wife. And that's what this passage teaches. It teaches this idea that there is a mutual equality in marriage, but the husband has his roles and the wife has her roles. They are co-equal, yet holding uniquely different roles and responsibilities. And again, I teach on that in great depth and detail in that other video. But what I want to do is drill down on verse 21 today, because verse 21, I think, is critical to setting the stage for this entire passage. Because if you just pick up in verse 22, which is where most pastors pick up, it immediately punches wives right square in the nose. And it tells them, hey, wives, submit to your husband. Boom, she's on her heels, and maybe even getting a bit defensive when she reads that. And that's why I think it's critical that pastors teach by including verse 21, because that's the full context of what Paul is teaching here. That's what he's getting at. And here's what he says in verse 21. He says, and further, submit to one another out of a reverence for Christ. So before he addresses wives, before he addresses husbands, he starts by saying, all right, guys, husbands, wives, pay attention here. Be willing to submit to one another. Why? Out of a reverence and adoration and appreciation for Christ and all that he has done for you. Before you can really truly fulfill your role as a husband, before you can really truly fulfill your role as a wife, you have to submit to one another. So I ask this question. If you're a husband watching this, if you're a wife watching this, have you submitted to one another? Have you submitted to your wife? Have you submitted to your husband? Because if you haven't, I honestly don't think you can truly fulfill your role as a husband or as a wife. So my challenge to you today is this. Take time, grab your spouse's hand, sit down on the couch, look into each other's eyes, and read this verse together. And then tell each other, I am willing to submit to you, my husband. I am willing to submit to you, my wife. And if you do that, if you truly and honestly and sincerely do that, that will be a game changer in your marriage. So, lesson today, submit to one another out of a reverence and respect for Christ. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day.